First, I want to get started also with just telling you a little bit about myself. Jonathan has already done most of it, so I'll probably not even like do much here, but I just wanted to speak to my motivation for creating or designing this experience in the first place. I have always had like a very non-linear career. So my I studied mechatronics engineering for my undergrad. So doing a lot of robotic stuff. And you would think I would go on to become like a, robotics engineer and things like that. But I didn't know it at the time, but I've always been somebody that has designed my career in a way. Well, I wouldn't call it design because I didn't know I was doing design. I was somebody who always just went with the flow of how I felt. And it didn't matter what my past achievements were, or what my past experiences were. It was just about what is my heart telling me now? What am I feeling right now that is most fulfilling? And I've realized that every time that I have taken the step in that direction and, answered that call of, this is what I feel like I want to do now, even though it's unrelated to whatever I did in the past, that's when it's fun and I enjoy it. And somehow it all ends up connecting. And when the times when I have been resistant to just going after that thing that I want to do are the times when I have somehow just felt stressed and burnt out. Um, and those are the times where, I go through that in that minimal suffering and where I end up going after that thing I want to do. But there is also a balance. You don't want to just jump from a bounce from thin to thin to thin. I always make sure that in whatever space and whatever place I am in my career at any given time, I want to have something concrete or something solid or a result to say that, oh, at this stage of my life, I did this and this was the result. This was the impact. So that's kind of like how I've led my career from studying mechatronics engineering to founding a nonprofit community of over 500 people, teaching them about AI. And this was just because I stumbled upon an article in my undergrad. I stumbled upon an AI article in this small city in Nigeria where nobody knows about AI, or people know about it, but nobody's doing AI. And I was reading AI, and this was in 2018, and I there was nobody around me that I could like reach out to and like talk to about AI. And I was learning all these cool things, and I wanted to talk to people about it. And I would ask around, and everybody's like, "No, I don't know." And what did I do? I created a Google form. I created the Google form, and I just created a simple application and I shared it out there. Oh, does anybody want to meet up and like, talk about AI or learn about AI? And I kid you not, in under a week, that form got shared with not just my school, but other universities in the state at that time. And there were like over 100 registrations. And the day was fast approaching. I set the event day for Saturday. I was looking for an event space. I fortunately found somebody that would, that would open up their space for me. And the first day, over 100 people showed up in person to talk and learn about AI. And here I was, a beginner myself. I knew nothing much about AI. I was just excited about AI. But I was in this position now where I've brought all these people together and they are expecting something from me. And now I have to learn about AI. And that way I put myself in a position where I had to learn 10x faster to be able to have something to teach. And over time, I was able to like grow this community and find other really interesting people from the community as well who, picked up AI and were interested in it, who ended up being, you know, co-educators, and we just built this community and, ended up doing really amazing things back then. And then the pandemic happened. The pandemic happened and everyone was everyone was just didn't know what they were doing. Most of the attendees of this community were students. Schools were shut down for over 8 months. Nobody knows what's next or what will happen to their lives or careers. And at that time also, because this was like 2 years, a year in, when I felt like, okay, I want to do something else. I just got that feeling again, not do something else, but I want to grow. I'm here teaching all these people, but I want to grow myself. And then I was looking for other avenues for me to learn. And then I stumbled upon this AI conference, which has become like the largest gathering of engineers and scientists in AI across Africa and the globe. And that's deep learning in Dubai. If you don't know about it, check it out. Lots of interesting people. They have like the conference happening, I think it's sometime this week or next. But yeah, the conference happens every week and they rotate across different African countries every year. It's such a fun space. The community is so loving. But I got to go there to that conference in 2019 and I learned a lot. And like, I would come back to my community and I would teach them, all of these things I was learning. And then 2020 happened, the pandemic happened, and we could not meet in person any longer. Initially, we would start meeting online, but the vibes were not the same. It was not the same. And like things, the mentality of people were different of like, oh, now we don't know if schools, would reopen. We don't have jobs, the economy is this and that. And like, I through that community was able to get a research position because somebody attended that event that was a PhD student at Oxford and ended up connecting me to someone else who had a professor that ended up taking me on as a researcher for their lab. And I ended up becoming a researcher at the University of Oxford from the small space I was in the small city of Abeokuta, Nigeria. And because I was in that position, I just felt like, okay, I think I need to help people. And then I just, again, just like I set up the form the first time, I just started career coaching and I put out the calls. Does anybody want to chat about their careers? Again, tons of calls, tons of conversations. I really loved it. I just realized that I love talking to people about their careers. And it's actually helpful. It's not just about me talking. There are results, people getting jobs, people feeling like, oh, this is great. And like now I know what I'm doing, what I want to do. And that was what led to me founding the first company I founded called Diverse K. And basically that company was helping people get into and navigate tech careers. And there was this whole, because as a new entrepreneur, you just like see a lot of things. And I fell into this space where I was thinking about building a company from the lens of um building a VC company. I was thinking about things like fundraising and things like that. And that just disrupted everything for me internally and externally because it wasn't my vibe any longer. I was trying to like fit a model that exists that you know, wasn't really for me. Not anything, not I'm not saying anything is wrong with like, building a company and like raising VC money. I'm just saying because of who I was, that flexibility wasn't there again. I had to try to like build some specific things and try to design what leads to what in like the company. And it just it just took this whole roller coaster of emotions in me where I just felt like I mean, I was able to like struggle through it and I built a lot of arms to that organization. But the aspect to it I loved the most was the podcast. And I feel like we had over like 50 episodes where I just interviewed technologists across the globe, and the podcast was live. So every single Friday, I would go live and I would schedule these calls. I'll go live every Friday and I'll talk to people about their tech careers. And in that live call, we had between 100 to 150 attendees join live, which was really amazing. And to me, that's what excited me about my job of like, oh, I'm not making any money. But there are all these people that are coming on here to learn and like all of that. And then as I was progressing, I was thinking, okay, at some point I need to make money. At some point I need to make money. And I think that's where that VC model mentality came on of like, okay, how do I start thinking about making money from this and like raise money and then That was when I also started thinking about grad school. And then I applied to Stanford and Harvard. So I applied to only Stanford and Harvard, actually. Somebody, okay, I applied to only Stanford initially, and I was talking to a friend, and they were like, that's a very dumb idea. If you want to go to grad school, apply to 10 schools. And I applied to Harvard as a second option, which is still very dumb. I don't encourage anybody to do that, but I ended up getting into the two schools. But there is something I want to say here is if there is something that you're truly passionate about, and you're able to articulate and tell your vision and help people see what you see, you will be able to convince people as to why, you're good for something. And it doesn't matter where you're from or what your background is, or, any of those things that you think would normally be limiting factors. It's not all of those things. And there will also be times where what you want will not come through. And you want to keep a mentality or a mindset of that just wasn't for me and it's okay. That just wasn't for me. There are a lot of interesting things in this world. A lot of times when things don't happen, the way I wanted them to, and I just have this peaceful mind that it wasn't always that way. Anyway. So like, but I'm just telling you, like, where you want to grow to with rejection is like, okay. And then once you have that mindset and you keep going, you just see more things. And it's like that rejection just opened your world to more things that you never would have thought of before. And then that is what happens like when you just stay on that path and stay true to yourself. Just always at every given point in your career, stay true to how you're feeling. If you're in a job right now and you just feel super miserable, and there's something else that this is actually something I think I can do. I feel really good about it. I know I can do this. Do it. Do it. And don't fear, and all those fear that all that fear that you have of, when I started that live stream, I've never done any live stream with that podcast. And there are a lot of videos out there that are just me just learning things and like going live and like seeing 50, 100 people joining. And through that process is where how I learned. It was not because I did a training before and I now decided to do this. There were a lot of embarrassing moments, learning a lot of things, how to ask questions and all of those things. So if that's the key takeaway before I can't see my time, so I don't know how much I've gone with this, and I still have more slides, so I'm going to move on. But I hope you're able to pick a thing or two from that story. Okay. Based on what I just said, or not, it might not be based on that. I want you all to tell me what makes a career fulfilling to you. What makes a career fulfilling to you? Being in service to ideas and outcomes you believe in. I love it. Working for a larger purpose. Awesome. Solve real world problems and bring smiles to people's faces. Pushing my own creativity, finding white space and helping others find breakthrough solutions that matter, always having a purpose and sense of upward progression. Working with a team to make something amazing. Okay, I love all of it. And I'm sure like all the responses will be amazing. But or just in addition, you might have seen this also on the registration page. There's this phrase, a fulfilling career is an impactful career. And to be honest with you, something you can also pick from my story is I have felt mostly fulfilled in my career. And if you look at the resonating theme across everything I have done, it is making an impact and helping people, those around me. Right from wanting to learn AI with other people, it was about teaching people. Right from founding the company, it was about helping people navigate their careers. And everything I've done has been about making an impact. And it has brought me the most fulfillment and brought me the most joy. So when you think about what makes a career fulfilling, like make this one of your top reasons or top definitions. And that's like philosophy and the model by which I approach career fulfillment. It's about making an impact. Now, what does creativity mean to you? Can someone tell me the time in the chat so I'll know where we need to like maybe cut some things? Oh, I see the time actually. Okay, we still have time. Um, what does creativity mean to you? Ability to solve problems, creating something new, novel, or surprising, right fit for the need, inspiring others, creating something unique and engaging, generating ideas, looking in the opposite direction, following the impulse to make, being on the learning edge. Okay, these are all great responses. Now, what does human-centered design mean to you? If you haven't heard about it before, you can just say you don't know what it is. What does human-centered design mean to you? Nothing. Very convenient for humans. Designing for how someone will experience something versus designing the thing itself. Hmm. Hmm. Empathy. Creating and designing according to user needs. Okay. Okay, all great. I want to share an approach, my approach that I came up with for using both creativity and human-centered design to design a fulfilling career. And this is I'm just going to open up an article I wrote about this, which I would share with you after this. Okay, can you see my screen once again? Okay, great. So, because of how creativity is, and like the fact that there are a million, billions of definitions of creativity, everybody has a different definition for creativity. I wanted to find a way to formalize creativity in order to apply it to a career. So I did a lot of research, but came down to adopting Mitch Resnick's philosophy for creativity. Mitch is an MIT professor, and he has been researching creativity for years. And he wrote a book called Lifelong Kindergarten. And basically, the way he defines creativity is he defines creativity as a way where you work on you as a medium where you work on projects that you are passionate about with peers through play. And in his book, he also like talks about how this can be applied across the lifetime. But most of his research is focused on kids and children mostly. But I wanted to really just adopt the work he's done and think about how we can apply that to our own lives as adults right now in this ever-changing workforce, and also bring that model of human-centered design and see how it all mixes together and like what do we come up with. That's kind of what this article came. I was just thinking about, okay, creativity. What is creativity? Human-centered design, this unique thing that's supposed to help you design. If you put all of it in a pot, what can you make? So this is what we have. So basically, taking Mish's 4 Ps and the popular steps or processes for human-centered design: discover, define, ideate, prototype, implement. I sort of found a way to make creativity, the action, and human-centered design, the process. So when you think about these four stages, stage one is the passion. Stage two is the project you want to work on. Stage three is the play. Stage four is the peer. And when you think about that passion is what are you passionate about? This can be in a job you currently are, or if you feel like you don't even know what that is. So, okay, so you can belong in three buckets right now. You can be three groups. You can be in the group where you love your job. You just want to be more creative in your job. You can be in the group where you don't like your job, but you know what you're passionate about. There is something else that you like and you're passionate about. And there's the third group where you do not like your job and you do not know what you want to do with your career. You just are there floating in in the clouds. You're just floating. So there's there are those three groups. So if you're in the third group, I mean, there is no bad group. All of us have been through all of these groups at different stages in our careers, and sometimes we go in and out of different stages. So for the third group, if you feel like you don't know what it is you want to do, you're just in this space where you want to change everything about your life, you want to renew your life, that is why I created the Confusion to Clarity Toolkit. So it's a set of three tools. The first one would help you reflect and identify. It's not about me telling you this is what you want to do. It's about some systems I've put together to help you reflect and identify what that thing is, what that career is you want to do. The second one, the second tool is called Plan and Organize, and it will help you plan out exactly how you and organize yourself, figure out how you want to go about this newfound career. And the third one is to execute and retain, and that is a way for you to carry out that plan consistently because consistency is really what is needed. And that's where that third tool comes in. Okay, so this currently the tools as a whole is currently going through a revamp. I'm trying to update the second and the third one. But if you're at a stage where you are just feel confused about your career, you can go ahead and grab the first tool. It's good to go for now. But like if there are any future updates, you'll be able to access it. So that is for the first one. And I I have the assumption that most people on this call probably don't belong to this first category of feeling like you don't know what you are passionate about or you don't know what you want to do. But that's just by the way, if you feel that way. Um, the second one is a project. What is the project that you want to work on? How do you define what that project is? And the human-centered design process to it is just definition and ideation. You want to figure out what that project is that you want to create. And the third one is play, according to Mitch. And if you look at it from a human-centered design lens, it's really about prototyping and sharing with peers and improving it multiple times. So the play can just be with your team members and your teammates are in creating different versions of something that you came up with and prototyping and sharing it with them, getting feedback, doing it again. And then the pair there comes in, when you the peer is like you are actually working with people on a continuous basis and finally you get to implement and share it with people. Okay, that is a basic understanding of my philosophy. Not very basic because it took me time to put all this together. But yeah, that is how I think about it. So now let's move on. Oops, sorry. Yeah. Okay, so this is the point where we jump into group activities. Yay! Yeah, I don't know if group activities is exciting to everybody, but I'm going to put all of you into breakout rooms. You're going to do stuff. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to come up with a course that you're passionate about. There is a doc, and let me see, how many are we? We're 34. So I think we need like an average. How many groups do we need, Jonathan? 7?
Okay, we can try.
Okay. So I have this document I created where you're all just going to dump all of your ideas. Um, so there'll be like a max of five people in a group. You join a breakout room, and then you will come up with ideas that you're passionate about. Just you know the thing Laura said about divergent thinking. Just dump everything you're passionate about into this doc. The course, and then a description of the course. So I should share this. Okay, and give you an explanation of what I want you to do. Um, okay, so what I want us to do here is to come up with, so there are only two groups at the moment. Depending on the group you fall into, you just make a duplicate of this document, please. I should have made them. Okay, let's see. You just duplicate them, rename it your group, and then, rename it your group if there is no existing group, and just go into it, write down the course and the description. Just do that. We're going to do that for the next 5 minutes.
Oh, I've got my hand up because our group got very excited about our introductions that we didn't have time to actually do the assignment. And I suspected we may not be alone.
No, you're not alone. We didn't as well, but like I think the basic idea that I wanted everyone to get out of this is to I'm hoping that you at least okay, you didn't go past introduction, but what I want you to do is at least you think you came up with a project. So in my group we had a social media manager, we had me, a career strategist, we had a learning designer, and we came up with this idea at the intersection of like designing a social media campaign. That is the project, designing a social media campaign for a new course. And the second stage of this process is ideating. And to ideate this, you have to come up with different, strategies for how to go about this. And that's where like the ideating, sorry, is the definition of the project, which is what I just described. The play aspect is the prototyping, where you're thinking about, oh, what does this prototype actually look like? You come up with the first model, you share it with peers, you improve it, you share it with peers. And like it's just that cycle and that process that I wanted us to like have at the back of our minds. And if you understand that, you're good.